Ahoy, fellow peasants! Today I'll be reviewing... Ahoy, fellow peasants! Today I'll be reviewing Ahoy, fellow peasants! Today I'll be reviewing 1995's CutThroat Island. Alright guys, so I just got done watching CutThroat Island. This came out in 1995. It stars Gina Davis and Frank, I can't remember his last name, but he is the guy who plays Boris Balkan in The Ninth Gate. So, I know him from The Ninth Gate. Lang something. Frank Lang. Anyway. This movie bombed when it came out in 1995. It did so bad that it actually, tanked the studio that did it. It just took the whole fucking ship down with it. No pun intended. But, yeah, I guess people were not ready for a pirate movie, really, probably until, 2003 or 4 when Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl came out. So it took about another 8 or 9 years for people to be interested in pirates, I guess. But yeah, it got bad reviews. It tanked. What is it about? Basically, you got Gina Davis. She plays a pirate. Morgan Adams, who her dad dies. He gives her 1/3 of the treasure map. So she has that. And she also inherits his pirate ship. So she's in charge of these pirates. She's the lead captain of this pirate ship crew. And what's weird about the map that he gives her is, it's his scalp. She had to scalp her dead dad to get the map off his head. Because he had the tattoo. He had the map tattooed on his scalp or whatever. And so the rest of the film is her searching for the other pieces of the map. Running across this love interest. Originally, he's not a love interest. He's someone who she hires. He's a slave in prison who is purchased by her because she wants to use him because he knows Latin and the map is in Latin. And so originally she's not too interested in him, but then as time goes on, there's the romance blossoms or whatever. And so it's them working together to beat other pirates. Her dickhead uncle, who is also a pirate, and her uncle killed her dad. So you got a Mufasa a Mufasa Scar thing going on here a little bit. And then there's also the English. The English are they also want in on the redcoats want in on the freaking treasure. So it's kind of a typical rat race to the treasure movie. But what did I like? What do I not like? Well, what I like about CutThroat Island, first of all, is it's fun. It's just fun. If you don't go into it thinking it's going to change your life or something, you're just thinking, I'm going to sit down and watch this pirate Caribbean movie, treasure hunt movie. I think you're going to have fun. I had fun watching this movie. I can definitely see the flaws that people see in this, but I'll get into that later. But for just a few hours of fun, it's fine. It's totally fine. So I like the fun factor. It's just a lighthearted, good old-fashioned adventure film, and I like it for that. The locations, oh my God, the locations are amazing in this movie. I'm not quite sure where they shot at. Now, I know a lot of it takes place set around Jamaica. I can't remember where they said they actually shot some of this at. I don't think it was down there, but wherever they did shoot looks gorgeous. It looks great. The water, the vegetation, the cliffs. I mean, this movie, for having bombed and lost all this money, it's not a cheap movie. This is not a B movie in the sense of like the money that was spent here. I mean, the sets are fantastic. The pirate ships look authentic. The when they're in like Port Royal, I think in Jamaica, the city looks great. All the sets, the interiors, the clothing looks great in this. There's nothing about this film that looks cheap or low budget whatsoever. Like, especially for being from 1995, this is excellent. Like this was a high budget film. At least it looks like it is anyway. I would venture to say that this looks just as good as the Pirates of the Caribbean films. You know, I don't see a major drop in terms of the quality of the clothing, set pieces, and so like the camera work here is gorgeous. The settings are gorgeous. Everything feels high budget. Everything feels authentic. The acting in here is good. I think the acting in here, I was expecting a lot worse with this film. With all the reviews and all the hate that this film got, all the negative reviews and the hate this film got, I was expecting something really bad, to be honest. But I didn't get that. Like, I actually enjoyed this film. I'm not sure what the big deal is about hating on this movie. Now, am I going to sit here and say this movie's a masterpiece, or that I would watch it over 100 times over again? No, but what I'm saying is, some people have said, like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. If this is one of the worst movies you've ever seen, like, I want to see the movies you watch. Because I think I have good taste in film, and I know I know some of the best movies I've ever seen. And I know some of the worst movies I've ever seen. This is nowhere near one of the worst movies I've ever seen. You're watching some pretty good fucking shit. If CutThroat Island is the worst you've ever seen, like, are you only watching like Oscar-nominated films? Award-winning Oscar-nominated films, and then you saw CutThroat Island and you're like, okay, this is the worst film I've ever seen? Like, I don't understand that. But anyway, there's far shittier movies. But, so the acting was great. The accents in there were good, except for Geena Davis. Geena Davis, she kind of had like an American accent the whole time, which was kind of odd. Everyone else had an English accent, and Geena Davis, even her dad, and she didn't. Now, is that being picky? Yeah, but but overall the performances were good. I think she did okay. She probably wouldn't have been my top choice for the role, to be honest. I would have to sit and think about who the big actresses were for the day to play a leading lady back in the 90s. But there's something about her performance that it's good overall, but there's something lacking, and that might be due to the fact that she didn't want to do the film because Michael Douglas was originally going to play her sidekick in the film. They went through all kinds of actors. Tom Cruise turned this thing down. Charlie Sheen turned this thing down. But Michael Douglas was on board. But he basically dropped out for two reasons. One, they weren't able to film as early as he wanted to. He wanted to start filming right away. And he also dropped out because he feels like Geena Davis's character started outshining. There wasn't much room left for his character. And I think he wanted more of an equal role, or I'm not sure. But Michael Douglas dropped out because he didn't feel like his character was getting a fair shake or whatever. Surprising. It would be interesting to have seen this film with Michael Douglas in it. It probably would have raised the quality a little bit, for sure. What else did I like? Just the adventure aspect. I know I already mentioned like my first thing was fun, but just the adventure, just the lighthearted adventure. That's great. Like, I like sometimes just sitting down and having an adventure. That's what these films are for. These films are, you're not supposed to sit down and watch these and these be some life-changing, Oscar award-winning, riveting stories, okay? Like, I think it accomplishes its job. What do I not like about CutThroat Island? It's half an hour too long. Let's just get that out of the way. half an hour too long. This film could have been an hour and a half, and it would have been a lot better. A lot better. I might have bought this movie. Like, I'm not gonna buy this movie because of how long the third act drags on. The final battle between the pirates, her and her evil uncle or whatever, that goes on too long. Like, I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God, like, and I get it that that's how these types of movies were made. Like, but in the 90s, you got to cut that down a bit. Like, sword fights lasted forever, and fight scenes in general lasted forever in older films, even in films that predated this film. And because this film is trying really hard to be like the films from the 1950s and 60s, maybe even the 40s, like the old school pirate films. But for the love of God, a half an hour fight scene at the end, that just didn't keep me invested. Like, I shouldn't be zoning out during a fight scene or a final confrontation. So I think you could cut a good 25 minutes out of this movie, trim that fight scene down, maybe a couple spots in the middle there. But I think that really hurt the film, it being that long at the end. There's no reason for that battle scene to be that long. When the writing and what's happening isn't justifying that length. Some of the dialogue in the film is a little cheesy, but overall, I like the dialogue in it. I like the dialogue. So this is kind of something I didn't like, but I do like. I like the humor in it. I do. The film isn't taking itself too seriously, So I do like that. It's just sometimes they push it a little bit too far, and you're just like, okay, well, you didn't have to go that cheesy. But overall, I like the dialogue. I think it's good. I think it works. It's just sometimes they push it too far. But all in all, guys, I really liked CutThroat Island. Is it something I would watch over and over again? Is this something that's purchase worthy in my opinion? No, because the final act is so long. I don't want to sit through that over and over again. And I mostly buy films that I think I'm going to pop in on a regular basis. It's not going to be this one. Now, I could change my mind eventually, but I don't think I will. But I think it is worth watching. I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about 1995's CutThroat Island. Oh, and by the way, this is out on 4K right now. The color restoration is getting a lot of hate because the studio can now use like a yellowish filter on the film. But I think it kind of suits the look of the film. I think it makes the water and the greenery pop. I think it makes the skin tones a little more natural. I watched the 1080p Blu-ray version today, and the color palette just felt a little flat and kind of made for TV in terms of the color palette. But I think the 4K, even though the yellow tint, I'm not the hugest fan of it, it does give it more of a theatrical look, I feel. But anyway, talk to you later, peasants. Bye-bye.